Oh my God, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. I have to sit down again.
She was put in front of a judge and given a guardian. That was when they took her away from us.
I have no money, and I'm gonna tell you something. If it happens to me, it could happen to you.
Has no questions and answers with regarding my money. This is not fair. And Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo have this guardianship petition about keeping me away from my money. This is not right.
Like, fortunately, I have enough money. I could do nothing at all and just relax in my gorgeous apartment.
Y'all, Wendy Williams is having a breakdown over her financial conservatorship, and it is not looking good. In the recently released trailer for the 2-part Lifetime documentary, Where is Wendy Williams?, Wendy's health seems to be in shambles, and she tells us she doesn't have any friends or money due to a financial conservatorship she has been under for the past few years. This is not the first time Wendy has been seen pleading for access to her own money, and her relatives are now saying Wendy is being taken advantage of by the guardianship system. Apparently, they're not letting even her family members have access to her money to take care of her despite her well-known health struggles. Fans are now pointing out the pattern of women being taken advantage of in the industry in the name of conservatorships, because what Wendy is currently going through is similar to what Britney Spears went through. And of course, this has sparked the Free Wendy movement. Chile, it's a hot mess. And if that trailer is anything to go by, then Wendy is going through the most heartbreaking time right now. So what is this financial conservatorship all about? And how did Wendy get to this point in the first place? Let's break it down.
There have been random people around you
Stealing money from me.
getting money, whatever the case may be.
Enough.
So, in January 2022, Wendy Williams' attorney, LaShawn Thomas, said Wendy requested her account statements from Wells Fargo because she suspected fiduciary misconduct by her financial advisor, Lori Schiller. Well, it would turn out that her fears were valid because Wells Fargo responded that they had frozen her bank accounts after they got reports from Lori Schiller, Wendy's so-called financial advisor, that she was of unsound mind. Wendy was completely blindsided by this because she had previously denied claims that she had early onset dementia, and now that her accounts were frozen, she couldn't pay her bills or take care of herself. Now, a financial guardianship is not exactly a bad thing, at least in theory. It's just the courts appointing someone to do stuff like pay your bills, manage your assets, and enter contracts on your behalf. However, in Wendy's case, her family members started having concerns about the system's motives because it seemed like they were trying to screw Wendy over and exploit her. When Wendy realized she might be getting exploited, she fired her entire management team, including her financial advisors, who should have consulted her before putting her business out there. Then, she filed a petition with the court for her Wells Fargo bank accounts to be unfrozen. In the petition, Wendy claimed the bank had possession of several millions of dollars worth of funds that they weren't giving her access to, which made her unable to pay her bills. She also claimed that the bank freezing her accounts was causing her to suffer imminent and irreparable financial damage. Then Wendy added that the claims surrounding her alleged incapacity were falsified, and she was perfectly capable of controlling her own finances, as she demonstrated by firing her financial advisors. Now, if you're asking, did Wells Fargo have the right to freeze Wendy's accounts just like that? Well, the answer is they kinda did. Allegedly, Wendy's contract with the bank contained a clause that authorized them to pause or reject instructions for a proposed transaction if exploitation, dementia, or undue influence was suspected. And since her financial advisor literally notified the bank that, yup, Wendy Williams is of unsound mind, they had good reason to freeze her accounts. What's crazy is that in the middle of all this, Bernie Young, one of her financial advisors, whom she had fired and said she absolutely wanted nothing to do with, filed a petition to be appointed as her financial guardian. Like, at this point, it was pretty obvious that something was fishy because, for one, Wendy had allegedly granted her son Kevin Hunter Jr. power of attorney. This meant he could enter contracts on her behalf, manage her assets, and so on. So why wasn't her son appointed as her financial guardian? Your guess is as good as mine. After the court appointed an unnamed financial guardian, Wendy posted a video on Instagram where she disclosed everything that had been going on from her own perspective. The video was captioned, "I'm tired of everyone speaking as if they're me in this scenario. It's time I let all of my loving supporters know what's really been going on with Wendy."
My thing is that I've been asking questions about my money. And when I began asking questions about my money, suddenly Lori Schiller has got no response regarding my money. I want my money. This is not fair. And Wells Fargo has no questions and answers with regarding my money. This is not fair. and Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo have this guardianship petition about keeping me away from my money. This is not right. And you know this is not fair. And this guy named Bernie Young, I know for a fact that Bernie Young used my American Express card to hire an attorney to file a petition against me. That was done with my American Express card. Bernie Young, you're no good. And this is not fair at all, you know? And then there's this person, a former doctor, okay, had medical information about me that I never even got. It was sent over to Lori Schiller. So I haven't gotten the stuff. I fired the doctor. And again, all I want to know is, where is my money? This is not right. And certainly, this is not fair. This is not fair. You know, Wells Fargo has used all this stuff to create the guardianship over me. This is not right. And certainly this is not fair. The New York court system is, without evidence, they're being weird to me, this court system. Without evidence, they took all this information and continued with what's going on with me based on what Wells Fargo is doing. This is not fair. This is not fair, you know? And the New York court is treating me like they did in, do you remember Kung Fu judge case? Do you remember that Kung Fu judge case? That's not right, and that is not fair. Lori Schiller, Bernie Young, and Wells Fargo, please let me have access to my money. This is not right. And again, this is not fair.
In the video, Wendy claimed her financial advisor, Bernie Young, used over $100,000 of her money to hire a law firm to help him secure guardianship over her, after she expressly told him to get out of her life. She also claimed her former doctor, whom she had also fired, sent her medical information to Lori Schiller, the financial advisor who shared that information with Wells Fargo, leading to the conclusion that she was of unsound mind. All of this was without Wendy's consent. Wendy was clearly sad and hurt by all of this because the people she trusted to protect her were the ones betraying and trying to manipulate her. It was so bad that during an interview with Fat Joe, Wendy said she had only $2 to her name.
I was in Miami, and then I found out that my money was I don't want to talk too much about that, but let's just say I know what kind of money I have. Unfortunately, I only have $2. And nothing else.
So, when she filed the case in court, Wendy and her close friends were optimistic about her getting back control of her finances. But if you thought things were about to get better from there, well, you're in for a big surprise. Around the time when all this was going on, Wendy's show, The Wendy Williams Show, was canceled. Given her health struggles at the time, everyone expected her to take a step back and take care of herself. In case you didn't know, Wendy has been battling Graves' disease and lymphedema for years now, and she has been open about her medical struggles. However, after just a few months of the show being canceled, Wendy appeared in a very disturbing interview with TMZ that left fans and her family deeply worried about her well-being. She was slurring her words, couldn't maintain her line of thought, and didn't appear as put together as the Wendy Williams we all know and love. During that interview, Wendy shocked everyone by announcing that she would be launching her podcast instead of taking her very well-deserved retirement.
Morton and I talked, and I was like, you know, I've got enough money to do something else. And what I've never done podcast, which, by the way, podcast everyone has. But when you're famous, podcast will make more money for me being famous than doing the Wendy Williams show.
Then she showed off her foot that had been affected by lymphedema, saying she could only feel 5% of her foot.
Closely.
Right.
Hold up, please. Hold up. I can't hold it higher. Do you see?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
Okay, do you see this?
Yes.
All right, it's up and down. Okay. Okay, that is, I can only feel maybe 5% of my feet.
Wow.
Do you understand?
Right.
Which means normally I would be in a wheelchair. I'm not in a wheelchair. I stand up.
Fans were deeply concerned after this video, with one saying, "This is a person who is spiraling in front of all of us, and it's hard to watch. I pray that she gets the help that she needs and has a fast and full recovery." Another person said, "Don't know what is going on here, but someone needs to step up and advocate for her at this point." Wendy's friends and family were also worried about her, mainly because they had been trying to spin the narrative that she was doing okay. But that interview obviously showed otherwise. An insider told The Sun that for Wendy's family and friends, it has become clear to them in the last 24 hours that by doing the interview with TMZ, everyone else can see that she is not well. The insider also added, "People have been trying to publicly pretend Wendy is fine and on the mend, but the reality is that that's not the case, and that hasn't been the case. Mental health is a beast." The Sun was also able to get across to Wendy's friends, and one of them reportedly said, "Wendy seemed really confused and out of it recently. She wasn't following along, and she wasn't making a lot of sense. She was slurring and seemed unable to comprehend the thread of what we were talking about. Girl, things were not looking fun for Wendy throughout that period. Between her husband, Kevin Hunter, cheating on her, her show being canceled, her health struggles, and then her accounts getting frozen, this woman just couldn't catch a break, man." In late 2022, professional astrologer Shayna Krashen predicted that Wendy was going to have a difficult 2023 as far as her finances and conservatorship were concerned, and boy, was she right. Wendy's son, Kevin, later reported that Wendy's health declined since she was placed under guardianship. He gave an exclusive interview with the U.S. Sun, where he talked about how his mom's health was deteriorating and how her team was taking advantage of her. According to Kevin, Wendy's team knew about her health struggles, but they continued to push her well-being aside so they could profit from projects she was being forced to continue. He said, "I know there are all sorts of things happening that I know in her right mind she would never agree to." Then he said it was so bad that he had to take her to Florida so she could be with family. And this was confirmed by radio host Miss Jones, who said she went to Wendy's home in New York but didn't find her there.
So yesterday, Wayne made me go and visit Wendy Williams.
I made you go.
Everybody was in on it.
You know what? I sort of did because I kept saying, "Did you go? Did you go? Did you go?"
And I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off.
Yeah.
So I pull up. First, I pulled up to the wrong building.
It's been a minute.
I know.
Yeah.
And I had to walk, but it was okay. And so I get there, I go inside, the door people greet me and and I said, "This might be a shot in the dark, sir, but I'm here to visit Wendy." And he shakes his head and he goes, "You're a couple of months late.
Wow.
She moved."
Hmm.
And I said, and he goes, "Yeah, that's all I can tell you." So, I start prying. I'm like, "Well, did they sell the unit? Is it on the market?" Because this was a fabulous duplex. Mm-hmm. And the building she was living in, which now I can tell you guys, it was supposed to be a hotel originally. Mm-hmm. And then COVID hit and they couldn't, obviously, no one was supposed to be in a hotel, so they sold it. And she told me how much she paid for it. And I was like, that was such a steal. It was beautiful, 2-floor, 3-bedroom unit. So I thank you, sir. And then I go and I look for the other people that, live in the building,
right,
work in the building.
Start sleuthing.
Yup. And I got my sleuth on. And they said, "Well, you know what happened? She was getting better. She was coming around. And then she started getting sick again." Mm. And because her family's in Florida,
right,
and people were coming in her circle that they weren't familiar with, and they didn't know, they couldn't get access to her when they wanted, they moved her down to Florida. So she is allegedly down in Florida with her son, recuperating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we wish her
We do wish her well.
Yeah.
When she snooped around a little, she found out that Wendy had to go live with her family because of her health struggles. Apparently, Kevin had to take control of the situation when Wendy's manager, Will Selby, who actually used to be her jeweler, didn't notify Kevin when his mother was hospitalized for months in 2021. Even when she was discharged, nobody from the courts, her guardianship, or her team informed Kevin or other family members. They just wanted to keep her where they could easily have access to her so they could continue to profit off her. Kevin said, "What's been made more important by the people around her is that while her health may not be great, she needs to keep on earning income, and in my opinion, that should not be a priority at all. And whoever has been hired, they are taking advantage of someone who needs to get better." Kevin then talked about how, when Wendy was with him, he made her eat healthy and exercise, and he would take her to restaurants that didn't serve alcohol because she had an alcohol addiction and a condition that prevented her body from breaking down alcohol easily, so she retains more alcohol in her system than the average person. I know the rate that she uses alcohol isn't like a normal person, and we've spoken about it, and it's gotten to a point where, yes, it could have that effect that it might be fatal because it affects her way worse than a normal person since it stays in her system. Despite all this being a well-known fact to her team, Kevin said they still deliberately put her in positions where she would be drinking. If they aren't providing it, they are definitely enabling a type of personality and giving her the green light to drink. For example, Wendy's manager, Will Selby, took her to a strip club in Queens to celebrate his birthday just 1 month before she had to be checked into a rehab facility in Malibu for her alcoholism. It's just insane, guys. Like, this guy was really out here trying to sabotage her in every way. He even implied that Wendy was coming on to him to make her ex-husband jealous. Wendy reportedly spent almost 3 months in that rehab facility. While she was there, Kevin started getting reports of how she was being made to sign contracts for working arrangements with her manager, Will. They had her in a position where she was agreeing to a lot that she shouldn't have. When I heard that, that turned me off. In trying to attempt to know what everyone's intention is around her, at first I was like, okay, this is the team she wants to have around. But once I heard that she was agreeing to stuff around her rehab, I thought, well, okay, they are taking advantage. Kevin's interview really shed light on the dark, disturbing things Wendy was going through behind the scenes. Oh, but it gets worse. After almost a year, Wendy was seen again on social media in a devastating Lifetime documentary trailer. The official description of the trailer read, "After Wendy Williams was placed under a financial guardianship and her hit talk show was unexpectedly canceled, she was determined to make a career comeback. Opening the doors to her private life like never before, cameras chronicled her comeback journey to reclaim her life and legacy despite facing health issues and personal turbulence. With unparalleled access granted by Wendy to film with her and her family for nearly 2 years, what was captured was not what anyone expected. The documentary provides a raw, honest, and unfiltered reality of Wendy's life after she was placed under financial guardianship, shedding light on the vulnerabilities that have turned Wendy into the hot topic herself." Where is Wendy Williams? Is the story of Wendy's journey to resurrect her career and what filmmakers discovered along the way. But many questions remain. Who truly has Wendy's best interests at heart? Is she healthy now? The 2-part documentary, titled Where is Wendy, is expected to be released on February 25 and 26. In the trailer, Wendy seems to be spiraling out of control, and it looks like her physical and mental health are in complete shambles. At some point in the video, she ordered her driver to go away from where they were because she didn't recognize the place, even though it was still New York. Then, there was another part where one of her relatives suggested that she might be losing her grip on reality. Then Wendy referenced her financial conservatorship, saying,
I have no money, and I'm gonna tell you something, if it happens to me, it could happen to you.
The trailer cuts to several shots of Wendy being helped to move around by her relatives, sometimes in a wheelchair. In one scene, she actually screams out how much she misses her family, how she doesn't have any friends, and how much she is struggling. Now, although it seems like this documentary is supposed to portray Wendy as someone who had issues but started working through them and reviving her career, people closest to Wendy say that's not the case at all. In 2022, insiders reportedly told The Sun that she had no deals in place and no podcasts wanted to work with her because of her health. Wendy's son Kevin believes his mother should have been allowed to rest and recover rather than having cameras shoved in her face, regardless of the intentions.
I think that the guardianship system is broken. We are her family, and you tell me that I'm not capable of taking care of my sister. What would you do? What should I do?
And what's crazier is that Wendy's family allegedly didn't want the documentary to be done. They reportedly believe Wendy was made to agree to do the documentary when she was not fully conscious of her actions. Kevin talked about how even when people acted like they were trying to help his mom, they really just wanted to get her alone so they could swoop in like vultures. I feel that when it comes to people wanting to help her, a lot of it is coming from a stance of, okay, she's alone now. Let's try to see how we can make her act the way we want her to act, or if we can kind of control the rate at which she is handling herself. In the trailer, Kevin is also heard talking about just how badly Wendy was taken advantage of. We also see glimpses of Wendy's alcohol problem when a man asks her if she drank an entire bottle of liquor, and she orders him to leave her bottle alone. Then there was this heartbreaking part where Wendy was asked if she knew how much she meant to the people in her life and her fans, and she said she didn't. Guys, this trailer was really so difficult to watch, and it made fans start wondering what exactly Wendy was being done by Wendy's management to bring her back to health. Others wondered if Wendy's mental health crisis was a result of her pent-up emotions from her divorce and that she was suffering an identity crisis after her show got canceled because she said the only thing she knew how to do was be famous. Fans are also saying, you know what this looks like? Britney Spears' conservatorship situation. Britney was placed under a 12-year conservatorship in 2008 because she was allegedly behaving erratically. They took her money away from her, took away access to her kids, and even told her she couldn't be allowed to remarry. On top of that, there were reports that her father's security staff bugged her phone and bedroom, and that she was forced to perform when she was under the influence. When Britney cried out for help, fans started the Free Britney movement, calling for an end to her conservatorship. Wendy's fans have now started the Free Wendy movement, demanding an end to her financial conservatorship. However, from the news we have heard, it seems like Wendy still has a long way to go because she is still surrounded by people who are taking advantage of her. In the documentary trailer, Wendy's sister is heard saying she doesn't know where her sister is. In another scene, she was lamenting about how the family isn't being allowed to have access to Wendy and take care of her. Here's what fans had to say about it. My heart breaks for her. Nobody deserves this. She deserves whatever treatment she needs and to be treated respectfully. The drinking is a problem, but it's not the whole thing. Something else is going on. When she spoke up about Brit, instantly she went downhill. Wendy seems so scared, lost, and broken. I hope she is getting the treatment she needs and isn't getting mistreated by those that are supposed to be taking care of her. While we await the release of her documentary, what do you guys think about Wendy's financial conservatorship and her being allegedly taken advantage of? Comment down below, and we'll see you in the next video.